Hello there, beloved ones, and welcome back to the channel. As always, it warms my heart to see you here. How are you today? I hope some of you got the bank holiday off to enjoy, even if it rained. I spent a lot of time in my garden this weekend. A friend gave me a swing for the garden. It has a roof, so I can sit out even when it is drizzling. I have been enjoying the summer sun while reading poems and stories, some of which I will share with you in later episodes. Today's poem is called Allered's Redemption. It is about a good man who is murdered and what happens to him after his death. This poem does contain mentions of murder and torture, so if those are things that trouble you, I will totally understand if you call this a self-care day and rejoin us next week. So, grab your coziest story listening gear, set out your snacks, and join me in finding out who Allered is and why he so badly needs saving. Allered's Redemption. She loved the man before he was a demon. Mary saw in him grace, kindness, and good. She gladly walked wherever he wished to go, strolling at dusk through fields and grassy woods, to see the beauties and the views he showed her. There was a fruitful magic in his eye. What he saw, he could recreate with his paints, so perfectly as to make cynics cry. He was her first, and she, alike the only woman in the whole world he'd ever loved. He found such joy simply in gazing at her, her every feature and wrinkle, beloved by Allered. He knew men stood against them. Despite his talent, Allered was poor, and many thought his love for Mary tainted by the desire to pass her mansion door and there to remain as its future master. Had they only known the truth, Allered would much rather dwell in his simple cottage than in a place by so much pain haunted. He knew that loving Mary meant a danger, but could not tear his eyes or heart from her. She was his second half. He felt it surely. Each other's missing part, the couple were. She walked gentle and so calm, as saints had once walked, sweet as the first who ever bore her name, and not one man in all of their wide county would dare to give her, before all red blame. Rich, Mary wore wealth as light as poverty. She told her man, "You don't need to worry. I have savings to pay for our beginning. The only wealth I need is you with me." And so that night, it was determined that she would be his wife and love him every day. A minister married the pair, in secret, for her father would have driven away the man he considered not fit to wed her. Mary cared not, she would follow her heart. If riches and power meant to shackle her to a loveless dolt, she would have no part in such foolishness. In a wood at midnight, Mary swore she would be Allered's true wife, would hold his hand and walk faithful beside him, his partner in happiness and in strife. If only life had conformed to her wishes, not minutes after they'd performed the deed, before they'd even had the chance to enjoy the passion that their mutual vows had freed. Her father, blazing bright in vengeful fury, arrived and tore the two lovers apart. What followed then, I do not dare to describe. Such horror it was. I have not the heart to pollute your minds with its pain and sickness. For Mary's sake, let it suffice to say, a force not greater than her love but darker, far off from life, tore her, Allered away. While Mary wept, her Allered died in anguish. Like many souls who expire in great pain, the cruelty of his end did not permit peace. Within a year, He had returned again to the world, yet not as a living creature, nor the loving husband he'd wished to be, but a terror summoned, unwitting who slayed whoever from the shadows called him free, by thought or word or the chanting of a spell. At first, few called, but soon many men died. In blood and pain, the creature raved and slaughtered, but Allard was still hidden deep inside. Mary, loyal, never married, nor did she speak to her murderer father again. She took refuge with friends. All her later years were spent waiting to see Allard again. Sadly, when she died, an old, gentle woman, and rose to heaven, Allard was not there. Confused, heartbroken, she sought her Creator and made to him a soft but earnest prayer that if Allard had not achieved paradise, wherever he was now, God let her be. If that meant perdition or even hellfire, to be with him, she'd endure it gladly. God looked at her and saw the faithful love that blazed through her, shining in her heart and eyes. He told her, Allard's hurt became a monster that taught him love and family to despise. He has wrought, I cannot tell you how much hurt, on my poor children waiting there below. But for your steadfast love and your shining soul, I'll show you, now the only way I know, to reclaim Allard's soul. I'll send you back down to tread the world one night this Halloween. If you can find him and stand brave before him, and if he remembers you and he sees the chance you represent, then I will forgive his former crimes and acts of savagery. If you can induce him to take up your hand, as midnight chimes, I'll bring you both to me. So, home sweet, Mary went to find it altered. The place she'd grown up was so greatly changed. She'd not have known, but for the assurance of the brave angel God above had named to be to her that night a brave protector. The young and hungry were out on the streets. A few bore guns, but most bright-colored pails for the holding and the collecting of free sweets. It wasn't long before Mary's kind angel told her someone had called Allard to come. He took her to the place where some school children, hearts in their throats, were pleased enough to run. The angel frowned and squeezed young Mary's hand. Then, from here, he said, I must leave you alone. I cannot be seen till Allard makes his choice. Should he choose well, I'll gladly take you home. Mary nodded and bid her kind guide goodbye. She knew, had been shown, what Allard had been. A bloody murderer, a wicked monster, who took life after life with a wide grin. He might seek to kill her, like all the others. She was eternal and could not be harmed. Like humans, but she could feel pain and anguish. She had been given no protective charm. Allard could torture her, slash mercilessly. Worse, he could miss his one chance to be free. Let him come home, God above, she breathed softly. I don't care what has to happen to me. Just bring back the soul that was so beloved, the man who saw earth in all its beauty. His gift was in his hands, but also his heart. That soul deserves heaven's glory to see. There was no answer in words, but sweet Mary felt in her heart a warm strength returning. Beneath her breath, she formed a brief chain of words, looped them together, and began to sing. God had taught her the gentle verse intended to calm Allard and give him mastery over his thoughts so he could see and hear her, lest he reject her gift unthinkingly. When he arrived, poor Mary sobbed, heartbroken, to see what her beloved had become. But she smiled and stretched her hand out to grasp him. She said, "Allard, I've come to take you home." She saw the weapon concealed beneath his coat, meant to slash her, but she still took his hand. She hadn't called a monster forth. She'd waited for, and now she beheld, her man. She led him to the green park, in the circle, where 2 small huts and a white bandstand stand, and there she beckoned him to dance, as they once had danced as children, hand in trembling hand. They twirled alone beneath a sparkling night sky. Mary felt she was back in that good time, when brilliant stars, watching from the blue heavens, sedate and graceful and older than time, had seemed to watch, catch breath, the laughing lovers, entranced to see the hopeful 2 go by, who flew as if there was no death, nor sorrow, as if the earth was as new as the sky. They laughed and murmured endearments, as if hate had never sought the pair of them to part. Mary laid her head on his bloody jerkin, but heard only the beating of the heart that she held more precious even than her own. The kiss she placed on his smooth cheek was as soft as gossamer wings beating the summer air. When she kissed him, it seemed she'd never lost her darling or the future they had dreamed of. She whispered all that she felt in his ear. She told him she had come there to collect him, and if he could leave hold of pain and fear, they could have an eternity together. On golden streets, beneath a shining sky. She waited then, catch breath, wondering if he would believe her or strike and make her cry. Nevertheless, she was fearless against his rage, and so the crimson fury never came. Instead, Allard relaxed, his smile gentle. He caressed her and whispered Mary's name. She spoke his Christian name, and Allard answered. He asked forgiveness, that he'd forgot love, but offered to make Mary stand immortal, writing her name on the city in blood. Mary thanked him, but said she would much rather take him with her to where their father reigned, where every injustice would be forgotten, and God himself would call Allard by name. When he nodded, the bright angel embraced them. His wings beat upwards, lifting them on high, as faithful love from black rage refined to peace. He bore them through the ringing, twinkling sky. So Mary and her Allard rose from the earth, ascending where there was no longer pain, to live together beyond time and memory, the life God had always wished them to gain. Subscribe to become a delicious darling. Brilliant. Another happy ending to add to our collection. Or, considering that Allard and Mary now have eternity together, I should call it a happy return. What did you think of the poem? Would you have the courage to face down a loved one turned monster in order to save them? Personally, I hope that I never have to find out. Today's word for the comments is art. Write it in the comments, and then tell me about your favorite work of art. It would mean a great deal to me if you click like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You will become an official delicious darling and part of our crazy little family. It only takes a moment, but it means a lot to the channel. Okay, I am off out into the garden to watch the stars. Apparently, there is a meteor shower where I live, and there will be hundreds of shooting stars tonight. Until we meet again, may your nights be filled with pleasant dreams, your days with warmth and new adventures, and may you always sleep well, my delicious darlings.